Welcome back, folks. I'm Jake Ellenbogen, and today I got some news for you guys. The Rams are going to get some reinforcements. I know one player not going to be incredibly excited for, but I'm excited for him just because of the journey that is the NFL, coming back from injuries. And then the other guy you're going to be very excited for. So we'll get into it. Before we do, be sure to like, subscribe, and comment. Also, be sure to follow me on all social media at JK Bogan, including Instagram, TikTok, Twitter, and Kick. And in addition to that, just want to let you guys know that today's sponsor is Prize Picks. And I have a lineup already for you guys. But if you haven't signed up for Prize Picks yet, I have a special offer for you. If you use my code JK Bogan, you're going to get $50 added to your account instantly when you play at least a $5 lineup. $5 lineup, that's all you got to do. 2 to 6 players, pick the projections, more or less. And the reality is, if you win, you still get the 50. If you lose, you still get the 50. So great stuff there. But in addition to that, I got a lineup for you guys to help you guys out. We're starting off with Saquon Barkley going up against his former team, the New York Giants. Saquon is on the road to potentially breaking Eric Dickerson's single-season rushing record. I do expect them to let him go after that. Like Joe Burrow, who as of late has just been, he just threw 412 yards. Last time he saw the Steelers, he threw for 309. I like Burrow to have more than 283.5 passing yards. Justin Jefferson in an absolute banger of a game. Minnesota taking on the Detroit Lions. Winner take all. Take the division, take the number 1 seed, and the loser does not win the division, doesn't get a bye, and doesn't even get a home playoff game. They'd be the 5th seed, and they'd either play the Rams or the Buccaneers or the Atlanta Falcons on the road. So in order to avoid that, you got to win. This is in Detroit, but look at what Justin Jefferson has done. He's had some big games, 3 of the last 5. I think they're going to need him big time in this one. The Lions were giving up plenty to the 49ers, an offense that hasn't looked that great as of late. I think that they are going to be gunslinging this one. Sam Darnold over here will be doing that, and I like Justin Jefferson, 93.5. In addition to that, Jaden Daniels, give me his 52.5 rushing yards. He just had 127 in a game he needed to win. And we got the final 2 picks here. TJ Hawkinson of the Minnesota Vikings. I did not go with Sam Darnold's passing yards here. Maybe that'll come back to bite me. But TJ Hawkinson is coming off one of his best games of the season. They got him going. You saw what George Kittle was able to do to the Lions. They're going to need Hawkinson. They're going to need to spread the ball out in order to beat this Lions team that will not go away. So I like him to have more than 47.5. And Jackson Smith and Jigba wraps it up with 72.5 because he will be playing the Rams, and they're likely going to have their backups in the secondary, and Jackson Smith and Jigba's hit that mark for the last 5 games. So those are my thoughts there. Those are my picks. Again, JK Bogan, $50 instantly when you play your first $5 lineup over on Prize Picks. Shout out to Prize Picks for sponsoring today's video. All right. John Johnson is coming back to the Rams, and so is Troy Reeder. And Sean McVay confirmed this. Now, they did have an opportunity. They had a spot left. As he said on the McVay show, they had a spot left to essentially add another guy to the roster. Now, they did not use that because they really, during the season, didn't want to cut anybody. And he said that. We weren't looking to cut anybody. We really like where our roster's at. Well, they're going to have to figure that out, but he made it very clear that both John Johnson and Troy Reeder, with the rules obviously being allowed to take 2 guys off IR going into the playoffs, they will be back. Now, what does that mean? Because honestly, that freaks out some people here in Troy Reeder. The first thing they thought of is, oh no, is he going to supplant Omar Speights? Based on McVay's actions, I don't think so. McVay has ridden the hot hand on numerous occasions, and most notably with Ahkello Witherspoon over Kobe Durant. Durant was arguably their best cornerback all season long, but when he went down, Ahkello Witherspoon took over as the starter. The defense immediately had an impact. They've been as dominant as they've been all year, and he has just constantly raved about Ahkello, and now he's not going anywhere. He's going to stay in the lineup unless, he sits in week 18. So that is a tale of running with the hot hand. Now, this bodes well for Omar Speights, who's played really well. This bodes well for Christian Roseboom, who's played really well. You're not just going to have, Troy Reeder, who hasn't played since week 7 or week 6. Week 7, I think it was. You're not just going to have him placed back in the starting lineup. I mean, he's rusty and everything. Maybe, if he was to be activated for week 18, that's different, but I don't think so. So I think really this thing here is that getting Troy Reeder back gets them excited because now they feel like they have some proven depth and, some veteran leadership and presence in the linebacker room. So God forbid Roseboom or Speights get hurt, and now you have a guy that has actually started for this team, knows the defense, can make the calls, all of that. In addition to that, okay, you also have him on special teams. Let's not, discount what he can do on special teams. He's a good special team player. He's a good backup linebacker. He's just not what I would call a starter. So Reeder helps the Rams. I mean, he makes them better. You can't say he doesn't make them better by being a depth piece. But John Johnson, this was the highest rated PFF safety through the first 2 weeks of the NFL season. And then he suffered an injury that we thought he was going to be back pretty soon. And then time went on, and now he's still not back. And I think he's been probably ready to come off the IR for a while now. They just, opted not to bring him off when you have the way Kinchins is playing and Curl's playing and Lake is playing and McCullough is playing. But I do think now, obviously, with McVay showing his cards saying these guys are going to contribute in the postseason, they'll be back. I think John Johnson is going to be out there. I'm not saying he'll start, but he is going to have a role. They're going to rotate between him, McCullough, and of course, Kinchins. And there's a reason for this because of playoff experience. I think it really helps having a guy in John Johnson. And I think the same thing goes for Troy Reeder. If Omar Speights looks like the lights are too bright and it's too big for him and all of that, well, Troy Reeder's played in a Super Bowl before. Okay. So that wouldn't be too big for him if they had to make that decision. I'm not saying they would, but a young secondary, and you're going up against potentially Jared Goff or Sam Darnold or Jordan Love or Jaden Daniels in the first round. Those are going to be some gunslingers. Those are going to be some guys that can take advantage of maybe some rookie mistakes in the secondary. And they have been great. They have been locked down, shut down, all you could ask for. But having John Johnson in the back end with that veteran leadership could really go, it could go in their favor as well. He started last year's postseason game against the Lions, so he'll be back. So my thoughts on this are this, okay? I think John Johnson is a really good player. I think it was unfortunate. They really liked what they were seeing out of these young guys. It was almost a bittersweet moment, but they love JJ. The coaching staff loves him. He's well liked in the locker room. He's a fan favorite. Obviously, I'm a huge fan of JJ myself, so it'll be cool to see him back. But again, I want to just remind you guys, I understand people are going to get annoyed about Troy Reeder, and obviously you'll be justified if he takes away snaps from Omar Speights the way he's playing. But understand, this is a human being who worked his tail off to get back to this point. These guys suffered injuries during the season and weren't able to be out there with their guys. When they went down, this team wasn't in the playoff race. They were outside of it. And now they're in the playoffs. And now they made it back. And so I would just say, obviously I don't think people are going to get on John Johnson at all, but people will get on Troy Reeder. And I would just, like to just explain, look, these are human beings. These guys worked hard to get back, and they are contributors. Whether you believe it or not, Troy Reeder adds something to that depth, and John Johnson adds a lot of depth to that back end of the secondary. It makes them really tight. I mean, you got a lot of guys in that secondary now that you can feel really good about. All the way from cornerbacks. You got 3 starting caliber cornerbacks, as they explained on the McVay show. I mean, really, He's very high on Kobe Durant, but they're running with the hot hand with Akello and, of course, Darius Williams. You know, you will probably see Emmanuel Forbes, who is more of a long-term piece, but we'll see him get an opportunity this Sunday in all likelihood, potentially starting. So that could be big. Then you got Josh Wallace, undrafted out of Michigan, who they really like. And they got Charles Woods, who keeps getting promoted off the practice squad, who they really like. And, then you have the safeties, who I mentioned, McCullough and Lake, Curl, Kinshins, right? I mean, now you add John Johnson to the mix, and you feel really good about just the depth that they have in the back end. And you could try some different things now. John Johnson could come up and play the run, maybe play more box, maybe, tag in as a linebacker in certain looks. They can kind of get, cool with it. They can have some fun with it. Troy Reeder, again, with the special teams contribution, okay? And then again, just anybody goes down, and now you have these two. So getting guys back this late in the season is a benefit. It's not a bad thing. It's not something that should be hated on. I understand why some people have an issue with it, but this is good news. The Rams are getting healthy. You got Havenstein, who is, confirmed to be back for the playoffs, and really you have everybody back, knock on wood, assuming nobody goes down in the Seahawks game. Now, it's easier to assume than, to not assume, but the hope is that no one will go down in the Seahawks game. No one goes down. You don't want to see any injuries, but no one of, key contribution and value. And so curious what you guys think about JJ. He was having a great start to the season. I know it was only 2 games, but really had just a huge game against the Lions. And if they play the Lions again, I would not be shocked to see JJ almost enter that starting lineup just because of the experience he has going up against that team. But we'll see. We shall see. Either way, Rams are getting healthier, and they already were wicked healthy, but it doesn't hurt to add more to your depth, more to your bench, and they're gearing up for a playoff run. We're going to see how far they go. But that's going to do it for me. Special shout out to today's, episode sponsor. I said episode, but this isn't really, it's a show, I guess, to a degree, but really a video. Today's sponsor, Prize Picks, J.K. Bogan, $50 instantly, $5 lineup. If you haven't signed up today, be sure to use that code. And also be sure to check out my new channel, The Lounge with Jake ELLENBOGEN. I'll be interviewing all sorts of miscellaneous guests, really cool people. I got some cool stuff lined up, so be sure to check that channel out. Link is in the description below. And you guys have a happy new year. Take care, folks. Later. Do you love talking about the Rams, the NFL, or just want to be a part of a community? Join my free Discord server today. We're over 800 members. We got 24/7 live chat, a level 3 boosted server, the ability to call into JE Live, playing online games with us on Kick streams, toggleable alerts for when I go live on YouTube or Kick so you don't miss a live stream, and exclusive giveaways. Click the link in the description, the comments section, or the link that comes up in the video to learn more and join today.